Hey, what's going on, people out there in Radio Land? This is Keith Nunnally of the group J.M. Token. You're listening to 1590. I'm on the radio with my buddy Harv, y'all, and we're just listening and going to have a great conversation.
AM 1590 WCGO Radio in Chicago, where Chicago goes for celebrity hotline conversations and Club Kids Radio on a Saturday morning. My name is Harv Roman. In the back of your head right now is music from J.M. Silk. That is the collective name. Individually, you've got Steve Silk Hurley, who is a very, very prominent Chicago DJ and producer. And then on vocals, you've got Keith Nunnally, who is one of the most recognizable and unique voices, not only in house music, but in just about every other genre of music. And he will be our guest this Saturday morning on the WCGO Celebrity Hotline because he's going to be performing very, very soon. We have the History of Freestyle concert coming to Chicago and the Congress Theater. And Keith Nunnally is kind of crossing over. He is a house music legend who is also considered a dance music legend, and he made a lot of noise on freestyle charts as well with the music that he did with Steve Silk Hurley as J.M. Silk, especially with Music is the Key. So we decided it's been a long time. We've had conversations with him in the past, not lengthy enough to be substantial to include everything. So this is what we did. We said, Keith, we need you. Celebrity Hotline time. History of Freestyle concert time. A lot of the things that he does are very, very substantial, not only in the music business, but in life in general. And coming up, this Saturday, right? The 30th, it's today. There's going to be a peace walk in Humboldt Park. And so it all kind of blends in together when we can have somebody on the Celebrity Hotline to not only talk about music, but talk about things socially as well. And then we'll tell you a little bit about the March of Life walk after the Brequisito at the midpoint of the hour. So Kathleen Rivera and her buddies, we'll talk about that in a smidge. But right now, part one, first segment, Harv Roman, Keith Nunnally, Celebrity Hotline Conversation has been a long time coming, and here we go. And at long last, I think we've known each other for probably more than 20 years. We've had so many conversations off the air, and I remember one conversation on the air with a group of club kids a few years ago at the 88.7 FM version of Club Kids Radio. So on the Celebrity Hotline is Keith Nunnally. How are you?
Hey, man, what's going on? How's everybody doing out there in Radio Land?
History is going on. You're going to be one of the very few artists who have performed at the History of House Music events, who will also be performing at the History of Freestyle events. And I get to share that nostalgia with you because I've hosted History of House, and I'll be hosting History of Freestyle. So there's not too many of us, so welcome to the club.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if I want to go into the whole history of Keith Nunnally, J.M. Silk, and whatnot, because people may know your story and others may not. But maybe brief us a little bit. I find it interesting because back when I was programming the classic WCYC, Music is the Key was one of our strong songs, and it was strong when Kenny Jason was programming, and he programmed mostly house music for us. And then when I took over the programming from Kenny in '87, I started tilting things towards the freestyle. But your song back then was strong enough that it survived both the Kenny Jam and Jason regime and my regime in terms of being programmed. So your song is one of those that crossed a lot of borders, and it wasn't just a house music classic, was it?
Yeah, that's true. And when you look at that, what's indicative to that is the fact that they're having this freestyle event, History of Freestyle, at the Congress Theater on 13th of April. And as you said, I am one of the few house music acts, the dance acts that's going to participate. But during my tenure, man, as a vocalist, I've done many shows with a lot of freestyle acts. Not to mention, I've got a very large Latina and Hispanic following. So rightfully so. I mean, back in the day, I remember when I was all over New York and we were all in Jersey. I often did a lot of shows with Liz Torres, and when she had hit No More Mind Games. And then, of course, a lot of days, always doing things and shows with George Lamont, and I've done shows before with Judy Torres and Cynthia. So, and then, what was that other group? I forgot. I was DJ International. It was about 3 or 4 guys.
You're probably talking about Legacy.
Legacy, right. I've done shows with Legacy, and so, I've been around a long time, man, but, J.M. Silk had that kind of music that transcend all ethnic boundaries, black, white, it didn't matter, Hispanic, it was just good music, and that's what good music does. And most people don't understand, when you look at the pop chart, people always want to say, I want to write a pop record. I want a pop record. Oh, that's pop. Nothing is pop until it's really appreciated by the masses.
Right.
And when you can write a song and perform a song that every ethnic group can admire what you do, then that's when you become pop, because it's just an abbreviation of the word popular. So, and J.M. Silk, for that matter, we were very popular across many different genres, and that's what took me all around the world, took me all over Asia, took me all over Europe. I never went to Africa, never went home, but pretty much everywhere else, man. And it's just writing and singing music that inspires the heart. And I think that is the key to good music that inspires the heart.
Well, and I think that's a key phrase. Freestyle music, when we were programming it over at the Classic WCYC, what it did with that particular audience on the South Side was relate to the audience. There were lyrics that they could relate to, little stories that they could relate to. Yes, they were love struck and their hearts were broken, and then they rediscovered love. It was stuff that you could sing along with, and then of course the artists you could relate to, because if you look at the artists, they were just about the same age as the people who were listening. When I think of the music that you've put out, not only with J.M. Silk, but as a solo act, you're not necessarily, the guy that's just sampling stuff and doing a quick hook. You have some lyrical content there that is really substantial, and that's probably why you've been around for so long, is because your music is substantial and there's some lyrics there that actually mean something, and people could sing along without having to just wait out samples.
Yeah, well, I definitely that. And I think what happens is when you look at music, I remember performing, and one thing that has sustained me, just as you say, is my ability to reproduce what I did in the studio on stage. And oftentimes, you have all these groups, man, that top 100 or at the top of the charts, top of the pop charts, and they're studio, entertainers is what I'll call them. Not necessarily true vocalists. There's a lot of true vocalists out there, but then there are a lot of studio entertainers, because when it comes time for them to reproduce the sound on stage, they can't. They either pantomime or singing behind a playback track. And what I've always done, even back in the day, in the middle 80s, when Music is the Key and Shadows of Your Love and all, and then later on when Seasons of Love came out and Freedom and Greed and all the other records that I've done, I always did a live show singing first 5 to 7 minutes a cappella first. And I did that for a reason, because I wanted people to know that, what you're getting is live and uncut. There are no tracks behind it, and usually I would like to come in the middle of an audience, just standing in the audience with everybody, and nobody would really know. And then all of a sudden I start singing, it would, kind of blow people away. And then, God has blessed me with a very powerful voice, so it resonates well, over a great sound system. So that's why I always did it. And that's the thing about even like with freestyle and some of the other things that you get, people are singing.
And that's the difference, too. I talked to you about this off there a few days ago when we were setting up the interview. I says, you know what? Between you, Judy, and George, you all have the reputation of turning off the concert track and just turning on the mic and going a cappella, or you'll start off. Now, when you start off your shows, you're usually, in the dungeons of the venue, and your voice just comes out of nowhere, and the crowd is popping, but there's no one on stage, and then all of a sudden, there you are. And Judy and George are very similar. They'll do some a cappella, and they'll do something real, and I think this is where the fans get a real treat, because they know that it's live. It's something that's not reproduced, and I think that's what set you guys apart.
Right, and it's very exciting when you do that. When you start, and see, it's really strange, because I was really the first one out there that was doing that. Then I recall Byron started, emulating some of it of Sin City, and Daryl Panley, absolutely, God rest his soul, started, walking up the middle of the aisle singing a cappella. And I just think it's a great segue into your show, because you allow people to hear you and see you. The music is great. People are going to get into your thing, but man, when you can captivate an audience strictly by your presence and your vocal cords, that is a powerful thing. It's almost like having a powerful orator on stage that can resonate his or her vocals and get the attention of the audience. And that's what happens when you do it a cappella.
Well, and that is strong to hear that, because I've been there, and I've seen the late Daryl Panley perform. And if you haven't seen Daryl perform, it was such a treat, because it was an experience. It was as if you went into this cathedral, and he's on stage and he's working it, and I remember him falling to his back and kicking his feet up while he's singing, and that's just what Daryl Panley did. Now you don't go that far, but the things that you do vocally live, you can't really compare to too many people out there. It is an experience that one might might find with faith as a background. Is that your background as well?
What? What background are you speaking of?
A faith-based background, a background where you've done, maybe church singing, and maybe this is where the style got developed.
Well, actually, I didn't really get into. I've always loved gospel music, but I really started singing a lot of gospel music back in the '90s, early '90s, when I sang with a group called Lonnie Hunter and the Voices of St. Mark, and I used to sing with a gospel ensemble called New Harvest, and cut some gospel albums, and it was great. Gospel is my passion. House music and soul is my job. But I love what I do. And having the emotion to be able to sing a gospel song, and then you can resonate that same feeling on a record, man, is truly powerful. Because even Pandy and I have gone back many years, and I just, speaking candidly, even Pandy himself, man, would have vocal tracks on stage. Oftentimes you see him, and he would be singing, but he would be lip singing, and he would slip up and would say the wrong words, or his timing was off, but on the real crucial parts of the song, he would sing live. And I don't know if he did that as a way of conserving his voice, because he would sing so hard, or if that was just a way to have an idea of perfection in his performance. I don't know. But as I started doing a lot of the songs a cappella, he started coming out doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, and when I saw him, the thing that was fun with him, and which is the same thing with you, when you're going live and you don't have to live up to a track that's backing you up, both of you have done ad-libbing, both of you have done storytelling, both of you have worked the audience, and there are not that many acts left where they actually communicate with the audience, because if they do that, then they lose track of the track, and then it becomes a little embarrassing. So, that's what I think you two both had in common when you were performing. You worked the crowd.
Right. And, I tell you what's interesting, man, is that the one thing that I always admire, first of all, I admire the genre of music that God allowed me to make it in, and that's doing house music, which is a worldwide phenomenon, and it feels great, and it's, I'm inspired to know that, we were the early pioneers to, put the music on the map, because, of course, as you know, Music is Key was the first song that I sang. Steve Hurley, of course, wrote, and J.M. Silk was Steve Hurley's DJ name, and he hired me as a vocalist to come out and sing Music is the Key, and for that song to hit the radio, and then 2 weeks later we were on front cover Dance Music Report, and 2 weeks after that I'm on the stage at the famed Studio 54 in New York performing before a packed house, man, was nostalgic and awesome altogether. I was, 21 years of age, and so goes the story. But I always love coming out singing other artist songs, just get a snippet, and especially a lot of those great songs, because you remember in the whole genre of house music, they always had an a cappella version, and people love to hear the a cappella version, of the song. So I would go back to that and spin off and sing some of those great songs, and I might come up, it used to be so hung up on smoking pills, ran away from a thing that seemed for real. I might sing that, or I might sing, my buddy Colonel Abrams, he and I did a lot of shows throughout the years together, and I always admired his songs and his voice, and I would come out, so listen what you say, listen what the folks say, well, it's a tough decision to make, and people would just go nuts, and because of that, many times people always thought that I was the artist that did Said You Were My Lady, and your love was true, but as soon as I turned my back, baby. But I gave homage to each one of those artists because of their ability to do a cappella versions that would just turn a crowd out. And so I always started my show out by doing snippets of other artists' songs, and then by that time the crowd is so ecstatic, it's like, start the music, let's get this party going, and that's it. Oh, baby.
Testify to that because I've seen you perform at least twice in Humboldt Park, once in the actual park and then once over at the Boricua Festival stage. I want to say it was on Rockwell and Division. And in both cases, you're right. You came out strong, but you came out strong with other people's songs. Now, of course, I'm from that area, so I'm talking to people, and they're like, oh, we didn't know he sang that. We didn't know he sang that. And I'm explaining to them, no, he's got his own stuff, but he just wants to play some of this. And you're right. When you play homage to people that came before you or even after you with some of the stuff that you do, it's a treat because you treat the songs respectfully. And with some of the audience that have no idea about some of these songs, I mean, I remember Humboldt Park, they're just singing along with you.
Right, and that's it, and that's what it inspires. See, those were such great songs, and a lot of those songs were when I was coming up in like, high school and college, my early days of college, to get out there and sing them and hear the crowd respond and sing every part word for word is very inspirational, because that's what those songs used to do to me. I remember, coming up and I would hear Colonel Williams, you don't know just what it does to me, but it keeps lifting me higher into ecstasy. Gotta keep moving to the, won't be move. Man, that song used to drive me crazy, because of the essence and the power of the vocals. So I like to reproduce some of that old nostalgic music before I start my show, and it just transcends throughout the rest of the show.
You know what it's like? It's like your voice is like when Marshall Jefferson's keyboard comes on. You hear the little riff of Marshall Jefferson's song, and the crowd pops because of the music. When it's your voice that comes along and sings these songs, the crowd pops because of the voice. So I think it's a unique thing that you've been able to do it, and you've been able to do it so long. I don't want to date you or tell people how old you are, but how do you explain the longevity where you've not really been away since the mid-'80s?
Well, I tell you, man, music is my life. Like the song goes, music is my life, said I. When it's in you, man, it's in you. God has blessed me, man, where I never smoked and still don't. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't one to stay out late in the clubs. I wasn't one to, I did my share of partying as a young man, but stayed away from the drugs and all that other stuff. And when you can do that, you will sustain your vocal ability. You will have, you won't do damage to your voice because of cigarette smoke or because of long nights and partying and not getting rest and burning your voice out. Even though I was on the jazz circuit and I had a band called Jazzoul, which was spelled J-A-Z-O-U-L, which means jazz with a whole lot of soul, I was doing a lot of shows, man, and sometimes 4 shows a night in one club, and, it would burn my voice out, but all I needed was a couple of days rest, and my voice was just as strong as it was before. But that's because I just didn't abuse what I did. I did everything in moderation, and when you have a love for what you do and you don't abuse the gift that God gave you, He will provide you the longevity that is necessary for you to keep doing what you enjoy doing.
Harv Roman talking to Keith Nunnally. He is one of the artists who will be at the History of Freestyle Music concert coming up on the 13th of April at the Congress Theater in Chicago. One of the things that we had set up at the school that I now work at was a visit for you to go to one of our classrooms for Black History Month, and that'll still happen. It's just that all these kids get tested like every day for stuff, and so they had a bump a couple of weeks worth of programming in February. But when I talked to the teacher about you and she wanted me to bring somebody in, I'm thinking, okay, these kids are a little bit young, so we got to get somebody for them to relate to. And to me, the music angle and to bring somebody who's actually, you're a historical figure in house music, whether or not, you may be too humble to think you're a legend, but you are. And I thought that would have been such a great thing to happen with the kids, and it'll still happen with the kids, but when people look at you and say, there goes a legend of house music, and I know you personally, so I know that you might try to brush it off, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. What does it feel like? I was at the Output. There was a taping for DJ International TV. We both were there. You were interviewed, I was interviewed, and there was somebody there, one of these young kid DJs, and he had a handful of 12-inch records, and he brought them over for you to sign them. And you know that these were the original deal. What does that feel like when that kind of stuff happens?
Well, I tell you, man, it's an awesome feeling because, I've got 3 kids, man, and when you can do something, not everybody, look at it like this, man. Not everyone gets the opportunity to leave an impression on the world or leave an impression in life. Most impressions that we have are photographs. But you can put my name in any computer, and a plethora of things are going to come up about Keith Nunnally. And that's an honor for me. That's something that my children can take with them. I made history, man. I did something worthwhile in life, man, that will be archived forever. And that is the greatest thing in the world. And to see younger people come up who admire the music and still play that music to this day, and they had the records or their dad had the record, and they're like, man, will you please autograph this? It's a beautiful feeling, man. It's always appreciated to feel to be appreciated.
No, I saw that when that happened, and they held up, and Rocky had his camera guy come over to the kid with the records, and they zoomed in on the records, and there you are signing them. It was a real powerful moment, and it also told me that I was a knucklehead because I live maybe a block from the Output, and I could have brought my own records for you to sign. So I wasn't as clever as that one kid, but it'll happen soon. But I just think it's so neat that you've crossed so many generations with your music, and when we do arrange your visit to the school, you're gonna end up talking to a group of 4th to 5th graders whose parents came up on your music, and now they're going to have something in common with their parents. We pulled it up on the YouTube, and they didn't mind the music, but I'll be honest with you, with the music of the key video, they were looking at the sport coats. I think they had like the shoulder pads.
But now it's time
music of J.M. Silk, vocals from Keith Nunnally. He is our WCGO Celebrity Hotline guest on the Saturday morning. My name is Harv Roman. We're having fun here. It is the WCGO Celebrity Hotline Conversation, Club Kids Radio, however you might look at it. Talking a lot about his career and also, the occasional, dipping a toe into the pool of social awareness también. All in vain from J.M. Silk. We also heard music from J.M. Silk, Shadows of Love, Music is the Key, and Jack Your Body. That's all J.M. Silk, which means it was Keith Nunnally on vocals and Steve Silk Hurley producing and also a part of it because, the group was J.M. Silk and he was considered J.M. Silk. And Keith Nunnally was Keith Nunnally, and he is all over the place. And he said a good thing. He said, go on YouTube, do a search, go Google on him, and you'll find him all over the place. He is a legend of house music. He's one of Chicago's very own. He was an invited guest of Miss Ghani's class in room 214 over at the charter school in Irving Park, and he's meeting them not only as a huge figure in house music, but when you think about it, it's Black History Month in February. Chicago, in terms of house music, we're the home of house music. We're the birthplace of house music. And it is a music that took over the culture of a lot of the young African Americans back in the day. And now that they're older, adult age even, that is the music they came up with. And that is the music that they're all still in love with. And when you listen to the lyrics, especially as Keith sings these lyrics, you will find substance and you will not find a lot of the questionable lyrics and topics that you hear in music in 2013. And that is why not only did I invite him to the school to hang out with the kids and talk a little bit about himself and what he does, but I also figured, it is time for a Celebrity Hotline conversation. And so far, it has been such a blast to talk to Keith Nunnally on the Celebrity Hotline. And when we return, more with Keith Nunnally, but also I owe you a scroll call, don't I?
Denzel Washington for the Boys and Girls Clubs.
In my hand, I'm holding a 2-inch by 3-inch piece of paper that has changed the lives of millions of young people. It's kept them off drugs, out of gangs, and in school. Now, what could be that powerful and still fit in the palm of my hand? A membership card from the Boys and Girls Clubs. Every day, another 300 kids will join clubs all across the country. That's 300 kids who will be picking up a membership card instead of a gun or a needle or a knife. Too many people feel like they can't make a difference, but I'm telling you this. Put this card in the hands of a child, and you will change that child's life. Do that, and you can change the world. It's up to all of us. Support a program that works. The Boys and Girls Clubs, the positive place for kids.
For more information and to find out how you can support the Boys and Girls Clubs, call 1-800-854-CLUB. That's 1-800-854-CLUB.
Gonna make you dance. Wake up, dancing. Wake up, dancing. Wake up, Harv Roman's gonna make you dance.
That's me right here at 1590 AM WCGO Radio in Chicago. Early on a Saturday morning, our WCGO Celebrity Hotline guest this morning, Keith Nunnally. Maybe he could do a Club Kids Radio Celebrity Hotline conversation, wake up dancing theme song. We got such a long scroll call because it has been a very important week. Catherine Rivera, one of our listeners and Facebook buddies, has put together an event for later this morning, the 30th of March, Saturday morning, the March of Life, living in full effect. It is a peace walk that steps off at 10 o'clock a.m., Humboldt Park Fieldhouse. I want to say that's 1400 North Sacramento. That is the 30th of March, and it begins at 10 o'clock. And this is going to be 4 parents and 2 parents on behalf of the youth. The youth are being victimized by such senseless violence that Catherine, as a parent, decided that we needed to do something to bring awareness, do something to let people know that we're concerned. And she came up with the idea of a walk, and I think it's a very good idea, and there's going to be a couple hundred people there at least. And so if you can get out there at 10 o'clock at the Humboldt Park Fieldhouse, 1400 North Sacramento, you can take part in the march, and there'll be other things as well. But the bottom line is going to be the awareness of what is going on with our young people and what can we do to protect them, to save them, to set them on a better path so they don't have some of the issues that, boy, we're going through right now. So that is the March of Life living in full effect. Peace Walk, 10 o'clock a.m. this morning, Humboldt Park Fieldhouse, 1400 North Sacramento. Or run the Catherine's Facebook page or my own Facebook page at Harv Roman, and there should be information on that. So parents, kids, everybody. I didn't even do the scroll call yet, right? Let's see. Nina, George, Tabitha, Ramon Z, Cynthia, Louie, Nina, Mari, Alva, Yesenia, Melissa, Carol, Cynthia, Catherine, we just talked about her, Mark, Kyla, Patricia, Maria, Sarah, Liz, Zai, who sent me a nice little note on the Facebook, Maria, Lee, Sonia, Angie, Rudy, Robert, Judy, Kayla, Donnie, as in Devo, former student, WCYC Radio, Luz, Yvette, Irene, Paul, Cora, Patty Vasquez, who is doing such cool radio work at WGN that I have to mention it because, you know, she has a long history with us at Club Kids Radio. Rich, Admiral Deli, Layla, Adela, Mirna, John, April, Jerry, Daniela, Juan, also checking in throughout the week, Laura, Christina, Jimmy, Scarlett Santana, whose music we're going to be playing, and we're going to be featuring her in a conversation very, very soon. Mona, Tony, Emily, Kayla, Nadine, Anasali, Melina, Javier, April, Juana, Iris, Sammy, Denise, and Ty Bless from New York. Wow, what a long scroll call. But this tells us that we're doing something right when throughout the week people visit our Facebook pages and post little comments and they want to hear some more of what we're doing here with Club Kids Radio. Because it's a couple of things. Yes, you know, there are artists that we're talking to and there's music that we're playing, but a lot of the topics that we wind up covering are such importance that we can't let things go by. But we've got a little less than a half hour, so let us continue with this particular edition of WCGO Celebrity Conversation. This is music from Keith Nunnally as a solo artist, not as J.M. Silk. This one is entitled Greed. He talked about it already.
Right. Yeah, that was the style in the 80s, man. You were looking at Shadows of Your Love, right?
Yeah, and that's
when you put up on YouTube and you looked at the coats and stuff, yeah. That was the broad shoulders, and that was the style thing, you know?
Well, and so I told them, I said, that's the guy that's going to come and visit you, and they're digging the music, but I'll be honest with you, you got fifth graders looking at the fashions, they're going, man, that's what they used to wear?
Yeah, I can believe that. You know, long as the fifth graders don't get caught up into wearing their pants off their behinds, man. That's you know, I'm good with that.
Now you're a father now. You've got a family yourself, and so you're dad, and you're the one that's got to get them ready for school and you know, take care of their needs on a day-to-day basis. Now they see you as dad, but they also know that you go out every weekend and you perform. So how is it that they look at you in terms of what you do with the music?
Well, I tell you, man, my 19-year-old, you know, they got things of their own. My 19-year-old, he's a writer. He's away at Vanderbilt University. Then my 15, well, he just turned 16-year-old, is at King. You know, he's in the band. He plays the snare, so he's, you know, musically inclined. He's played the clarinet. He's played the sax. He's had the guitar. Never learned how to play it, you know. But I tell you, out of all three of my boys, my 6-year-old is the one that gravitates everything that I do. I mean, this kid, man, will go and tell my wife, Mommy, can we go on YouTube? I want to see Daddy sing Shadows of Your Love. You know, and he'll want to see the Shadows of Your Love and know every word verbatim. He's 6 years old, man. You know, and music is the key. It's like I got a new song that I just did. It's going to drop soon called Gotta Be Somebody. Gotta Be Somebody. It's a very inspirational song, and, you know, he walks around and he wants to hear Gotta Be Somebody. So, you know, it's humbling.
Now, you do your own songwriting now, don't you?
Huh?
You do your own songwriting now, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I've always been a songwriter.
So when you do that, is the intention to move people, to inspire people?
Absolutely.
Or is the intention...
Absolutely. And if you really look at anything that I've ever written, Music is a Key, Steve wrote, okay? Shadows of Your Love, I wrote and sang. You know, if you look at Freedom, when I was signed to Giant Warner Brothers, if you listen to the lyrics, Freedom was... how did Freedom go? Freedom was, how did he go?
He's got such a big, long catalog that he doesn't always...
Oh, here it goes. Freedom goes, we got to understand that life brings on many changes, and we gotta make a stand. Together we can find us a better way. See, children are crying and their tears are falling all over the world. There's nothing for you and me, and they'll never set us free. So tear down the walls, let's break the chains. Everybody shout freedom, freedom. Together we can find us a better way. Freedom. Freedom, we're making it better for you and me. Oh, 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 oh. If you look at that and you hear what that's saying, and then when you look at even Let the Music Take Control. It's the weekend, you're ready to go. Your adrenaline's flowing, ready to blow. It's no doubt the feelings inside. Well, it's time to put your problems aside. Let the music think, just let the music. It's always written to drive the audience, you know. And the same thing with Shadows of Your Love. Your love was something I couldn't understand. Your heavenly body always took command. You let me standing, you let me standing. Shadows of Your Love.
You know, it's interesting to hear you run a riff on all these songs of substance where the lyrics actually mean something. Here we are in 2013, and if you look at the top of the charts, whoever the artist is, I won't even name an artist right now, something has happened in terms of songwriting and performing where the lyrics don't seem to matter as much as they used to. It's like they got a hook about dancing, and that's pretty much it. Whatever happened to songwriting?
Man, well, that's been the whole problem, man. It's like sample, and you get a hook, man, and it's all the musical instrumentation, man. That's what I'm saying. You're really not getting. There's some great singers out here, but the thing that I really don't like about radio, and I have to be honest, is that radio will play 17 records, man. Out of all the gifted and talented people around the world, how can we only play 17 records every single day, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day? I don't care if it's jazz station. I don't care if it's the gospel station. I don't care if it's R&B, if it's the rock. They only play about 17 songs of each genre. And for me, man, sometimes I literally turn the radio off because I'm like, give me a break. I want to hear something new. I want to hear something nostalgic, or I want to hear something different. But it's the same thing over and over and over again, man. And you're right. You know, they've gotten away from writing music about love, writing music about inspiration. Most of the time, it's all about sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that stinks when you've got artists that'll kind of, balance themselves off, where Justin Timberlake might have a song that has to do with the yuck word, but then he'll come up with something that is so strong vocally that you're like, wow, that's like the same guy. But then there are some people that all they do is make a living off of the lyrics that we're not so proud of, but that seems to be what's selling. Chicago artists is kind of interesting. Back when Rick Party was at WGCI, he used to, on Thursday nights, he would play Chicago songs. And he would tell you, send me your song, I'm going to play it on WGCI. At that time, GCI was the number one song, the number one station. And Rick Party did a really good job of exposing Chicago artists. Now, of course, Rick's in Florida, and you don't have a lot of Chicago stations seemingly promoting the music from the local artists themselves. So that kind of stinks to know that you, as Keith Nunnally, will create a much more buzz walking the streets of New York or London than walking the streets of Chicago, and it's kind of a shame.
That's unfortunate, and it's always been that way, man. Music is so funny, man. Because house music, man, is inspirational. That's the only music that you can play where 50,000 people can dance together and it will never be an incident. That goes to show you the power of house music. And I tell you, when I think back, going back to the whole lyric thing, there's always been suggestive verbiage, man, in music. But the balance was the music was just as good as the suggested lyrics. Because you never really paid attention to the lyrics because the music was so good and the melodics of the song was so good. Let me give you this indication. Push, push in the bush. Da-da-da-da-da, push, push in the bush. Now, if you really stop and think about it, what does that say?
If you dissect any disco song, Keith, it would be, you'd have to re-rate the radio show.
Right. Look. Remember this one? Pull up to my bumper, baby. Hey, big black limousine. You know what I mean? If you really thought about the lyrics, man, but they were overshadowed because the music was outstanding. You know, so people didn't really pay attention to it. They just danced, man. And that's the thing that's great about club music and house music. And house music is nothing but it's a rendition of music we came up listening to, and we admired it so much. The old salsa sound, salsa sound, the all those old great groups, man, that came out of Philadelphia sound, and we wanted to make our own, so we made a derivative of what we heard and what we liked.
I get such a kick out of listening to you speak, and you quoted a lyric from Grace Jones, which people don't give her enough credit for what she did back in the day, because her image and her music were both out of left field, and that's probably what made her so strong.
Right. Yeah, she was like David Bowie, you know what I mean? Straight left field. But the music was just, man, it was astonishing, you know? But I don't know, man. You know, I think there's just a lot of problems, man. I mean, I think music has just gotten overboard in regards to, because there's just no censorship like it used to be back in the day, and they just say anything. And I think oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of the music has really crippled the minds of young people, man, because of the subliminal messages that's being purveyed over the radios, and the suggestive nature of whatever is being said in those songs, man. It's very strong now, you know, and unfortunately, when we were listening to the music, I heard those songs by Grace Jones and Is It All on My Face, you know, but we were so caught up in the music itself that you didn't pay attention to what was actually being conveyed in the actual lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
And
looking for that good stuff. You better tighten up on your backstroke. You know?
Fatback Band.
If you listen to all the stuff that was out back then, it was being said, but you were so caught up in the essence of the music that you didn't really pay attention to what was really being said.
You know, Keith, it's interesting that you say that, because, you know, it's a Facebook world, and one day, with all of the violence and whatever's happening here in the city, and so many young people are being taken away too soon, I went on my status, and I talked about lyrics, and I talked about movies, and I talked about TV shows, and I said, is it possible that all of this is taking these young minds and twisting them up to the point that they've become immune to this? It's like everyday stuff to them. It's like stubbing a toe when it's a murder. And then I had people on my Facebook saying, "No, man, you're just reading too much into it. Nobody thinks about music and movies and TV when they're going to do something crazy." But now we're talking about lyrics, and you're saying that the lyrics at some point do have an impact on who's listening.
It has a huge impact, man. It does. You know, and it's just not the lyrics. If you combine a lyric, like, let me give an example. I'm going to just make up something. Gonna walk over and do you. I'm gonna walk over and do you. Just something like that. Something real simple. I'm gonna walk over and do you. And put a house beat to it. I'm gonna walk over and do you. I'm gonna walk over and do you. I'm gonna walk over and do you. That's just like a club record, right? Now, let's change the tone of that. Same lyric. I'm going to walk over and do you. I'm going to walk and do it. I'm going to walk over and do you. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's coarse. It's. You can go to an all-rap party, and everybody in there is listening to the rap music, especially when there was a lot of gangster rap, and everybody had an attitude. Everybody has an attitude. And I'm not just saying this. I remember once, man, it was a big event. They had me perform at this event in the neighborhood, man, and we had all these speakers. We were playing house music all day. The senior citizens, everybody was dancing. It was a beautiful evening, man. It was unbelievable. People, man, we had live music, live bands, and I told the DJ, man, please don't play no rap music. You know, and literally, the guy played one rap song, man. And I mean this from the depths of my heart. Wasn't on 8 minutes. I'm telling you, a fight broke out.
You know what this reminds me of, and I don't know if you were there or not. I helped host an event at the Aragon Ballroom. It might have been early 90s. And it was weird because it was a freestyle event, but Cypress Hill was the main event. Mm-hmm. And so I hosted it up until the end of the freestyle acts, and then one of the B96 guys came to introduce Cypress Hill.
I like Cypress Hill. We were managed by the same manager, man. They're a great group, but go ahead.
Well, it was a great group, I guess, but I remember I turned to whoever I was with and I says, listen, I'm going to leave because I just had a weird feeling. And sure enough, Cypress Hill did their thing, and then outside the Aragon at the end of it, something happened.
There's just one solid solution.